maybe lagging and jumping around some guys. I'm overdoing my pushing my PC a little too hard. Killed Deer's first one in here. Chipper Guns. West Wind. Squid. There's our posse. We've got Killdeer for the gold star, Chipper for the silver, Guns gets bronze, West wins the shirt. Hello, Carol, and Internet, and Dad, and Boski, and Great Scott, and Chipper. Go ahead. Do your worst. I silenced the notification. That way I could still get a phone call or important text message, but not hammered. Do I?
I started typing names. I said I'll forget it. I'm just gonna say hello.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This got brought up in the High Desert Pioneers morning news chat thing, and I've been thinking about it and looking at it some because I mean I really don't think it's a good idea, honestly. And then you forget that people actually have your cell phone number. Me. But that's okay because you can just like turn the ringer off on your phone and just be done with it. Oops. Just took a picture of my thumb. It was funny. Every Friday I try to do this. The dogs do that. As soon as I go outside, they'll lay down. Anyways. Probably like one of the worst possible things we could have happen is to go cashless. Hold on. Shut the hell up!
Jeez.
June! Shut up! She has the cat, our cat, trapped. Not really trapped. Cat's just sitting there. She's pretending she has it treed. My daughter dog is stupid. But at least mine isn't playing along anymore. So, it's a little different than that. I got some. Here, let me. We'll read Wikipedia's definition of a cashless society. Oh, excuse me. A cashless society describes an economic state whereby financial transactions are not conducted with money in the form of physical banknotes or coins, but rather through the transfer of digital information, usually as electronic representations of money between the transacting parties. Cashless societies have existed from the time when human societies came into existence, based on barter and other methods of exchange. And cashless transactions have also become possible in modern times using digital currencies such as Bitcoin. However, this article discusses and focuses on the term cashless society in the sense of a move towards the implications of a society where cash is replaced by the digital equivalent. In other words, legal tender money exists, is recorded, and is exchanged only in the electronic digital form. They try to tie, you go down through here and they're talking, the way they make it sound like Bitcoin and a cashless society or something that are working together or whatever. I don't think that. There's some charts down here which took me forever to make any sense out of it all. And I do not profess to understand them, but the numbers don't add up. I can tell you that. You can go to Wikipedia yourself. There's only 1, 2, and that's not even a country, that's a group. 3, there's only 3 or 4. There's only 3. There's only 3 countries, or 2 countries, 3 countries and 1 group that are making out using money. The one that's turned it around and has come a long way in the last little bit is China. But it's weird because the amount of actual cash they have as compared to the gross domestic product or whatever is closer than where do we go? Yeah, they're just still close together. Okay. It's we've got more money, but it's because we just keep printing the crap. I'm not a financial guru, but matter of fact, I didn't even take economics in high school because it was boring to me. I played around with it some when I was younger because I used to think, hey, this would be a great way to make money. And it is. The only problem is, me personally, I don't believe that playing the stock market is ethical. So, that being said, cash is supposed to be a representation of value. A dollar bill is supposed to be worth X number of dollars. Or not X number, but like a dollar is supposed to buy you $1 worth of food. So if the value of the dollar goes down, it buys you less food. If the value of the dollar goes up, it buys you more food. Now, the only way to have the same amount of food is to have more dollars. You think you're doing better because you're making more dollars, but you're still buying the same amount of food. They have got the dollar devalued enough, in my opinion, that I think they could pull off it's not long before they'll be able to do a cashless society. They have been doing for a while now. And you probably need to check the chat. Let me check it real quick while that loads. I'd beat y'all to it. They have been practicing going cashless in Africa. for a while. They started experimenting with it in 2013 in Liberia. Oh, there's another one. Rwanda in 2007. On which would be more boring, me actually reading it out loud or y'all watching me read it silently. But they don't. Rwanda, I believe, is doing prepaid bank cards, and Liberia is doing the cell phone. Everybody has an account, and they can just make all their payments with their phone. You're buying something at the market, you send the money to the guy standing at the other side of the counter. You send it to his bank from your bank. That's kind of crazy to me. I mean, why haven't somebody steals your phone? But hey, there's more to it than that. But the whole thing is, just like everything else, they go over here to these poor countries, which are willing to do anything to get ahead, and they're using these countries to do the research on how easy it is to control a situation. Because prior to this, they did everything in cash. They didn't have banks over there. And now in the past 10, 15 years, they've gotten cell phones and cable TV, and they're doing everything. They're doing their banking and stuff with their phones. They, instead of walking around with a pocket full of money, they get on the city bus now and they just swipe their card and go sit down. To them, it's great. They don't have to keep up with the money, whatever. You just got to check their balance and make sure that they got money. That's all they got to do. And these countries that are doing this, I don't know, you might want to research a little bit on Liberia and Rwanda. I'm pretty sure they're not really all that democratic. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure they might be leaning a little bit more to not left or to not democratic. What I miss? Who all is in here now? Just a Mother in the Wild, Drager. C103, Aaron. I give up. My eyes are quitting me. LS. Yeah, great Scott. I think I got it. And if I didn't say hi. Tube of toothpaste. What?
Great Scott said I've worked with folks from Rwanda in 2007. Got to the point a tube of toothpaste was a week's wage. And the gun said, well, a tube of toothpaste lasts 5 years, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, mother's sneaking. She's not really.
Okay. Anyway, Damn it. Um, gonna do a shot in front of y'all. It's cough medicine because I wish it was. Well, I put the tequila up, daggum it. What do we do without cash? I mean, right now, there are things that, I mean, I go to the bank and I get cash. Or when I get a check, somebody pays me, I deposit X number, of it, but I keep cash, and then I use that cash to go buy stuff that I don't want tracked. Depends on what you read, what all the dangers are, but the dangers on a cashless society where it's all digital, if you will, are all basically the same.
Yeah. I'm not playing what his name is. That's awesome.
Yes. Okay. I'm gonna have to put the other thing up here because I keep getting distracted by the chat over here. Where did the one I wanted to read go? This one. This one. And it's going to take it forever to load, so I guess I can just chat. I mean, Wikipedia said that we've had, barter and trade and this, that, and everything else. Cash was invented so that rather than tote 500-600 pounds of gold around to pay for something, you could carry 10 pounds of paper. And that paper was supposed to be worth the however many pounds of gold or silver or whatever. That's what gave cash its value. We're not debating tonight whether or not cash money, whether or not the United States money or whether or not Chinese money, or whether, we're not here to discuss whether or not this $5 bill has any real value. We're here to discuss whether or not this $5 bill, that's how much money I have in my pocket. We're here to discuss if I want to try to, it was $8, live in a world where I don't have $8 cash in my pocket. We're here to discuss whether, is it a good idea not to have a real physical representation for the value of what is in your bank account. Those yellow vests that are talking about doing the run on the banks, going and withdrawing all their checks, they could shut the country down. They could shut the banking system down. If enough of them do it, it could cripple the country. And it will dance all the way across the continent. If there's 4 towns around here that are all over 200,000 people. Okay. If all 4 of those towns, if all the people that are there went to their bank and withdrew the cash value of their savings and their checking, no cashier's checks, nothing like that, cash money, the banks would have to shut down after 20% of their depositors had made withdrawals because they don't have the cash. There's not enough cash in the building to satisfy all of their depositors. Okay? The banks run on a cashless society. They keep enough paper money in the front for whatever. Yeah, if you go do a bank robbery or whatever, and you get everything in the vault and everything like that, you get a couple of $1,000,000. Our smallest bank here probably has $20 million worth of deposits. I mean, at least. What am I? Oh, that's the wrong one. I waited for this thing loading. It's not even the right one.
Yes, I do not think it would. Even if the banks are out of paper cash and the doors close at the physical building, could still get online and pay my mortgage with digital money? Question mark.
If there's nothing in the vault for the bank to say they have deposits, they cannot do business. And if y'all have seen the armored cars going from bank to bank to bank to bank, what are they doing? They're taking money because the bank has to have so much money in it to be open. But there's not enough money to go around. So they move the money from bank to bank to bank to bank. They all share the same money.
Savage is just popping in and focusing. Oh, Jason Moore.
The run on the banks is what caused the Great Depression. Okay? It wasn't anything else. People started trying to cash their checks. And they couldn't. They didn't have any real money. They had investments. They didn't have cash stuffed in their mattress. They didn't have cash deposited in a bank. They had money they had made in thin air. They had numbers in a book that were not real. Negative interest rates. Okay. You can go out and you can buy a 2019 F-150 or whatever for $60,000. I don't know how much it costs. You don't pay any interest on it for 5 years. They loan you the money to drive a $60,000 truck for zero interest. Zero money down, zero interest. How does that work? Ford Motor Credit is loaning you $60,000 without charging you any interest. That's because Ford Motor Credit put the interest on there before they ever sold you the truck. Ford Motor Credit is going to get X number of dollars from the sale of that truck, whether they charge you any interest or not. The same with the people that are backing Ford Motor Credit Company. Whether any interest is charged on that money or not, they're going to get their money because they stuck it on the front. Now, the person that keeps that truck for 4 years takes really good care of it because they want the trade-in value. Take the truck, trade it in on their, let's see, I said 2019, so 2023. They'll go get their 2023 F-150 hovercraft or whatever for $75,000, but zero down, zero interest. Their truck they paid $60,000 for, they've paid close to $40,000 over the 4 years. Now they'll take and resell that truck to somebody like me and charge me interest. You know, it may not be much, maybe 5 or 8 or 10% interest, whatever. Money is a load of crap. They made their money. The rich people are all, this is, and I got completely off track with that story. It didn't even tie together. I know that. The top 1% of the 1% are always going to have the only real value. That doesn't matter. Do we want to try to face a world where you can't walk in and throw a $10 bill down on the counter to pay for your candy bar, your soda, and your bag of Cheetos? I mean, do we want to live there? To where every time you buy a bullet, a Band-Aid, a bean, a battery, a movie ticket, a bus ticket, no matter what you spend money on, every time you borrow money from your friend, he can't give you cash. He's got to wire you the money. He's got to take out his phone. Okay, there you go, buddy. Pay your rent. And then you pay it back. There will be no transaction ever that can't be tracked by the financial institution and thereby the government. Do we want that? Is it possible? Yeah. All they've got to do is say, hey, there's no more money. If you want to do business, you got to get a bank card. And here's the beauty of it. You get a government check, you get $1,000 a month. It goes on your electronic card. Every time you use your card, they charge you 50 cents. So you buy an $8 burger and fries, you run your card, it costs you $8.50. The bank's making its 50 cents just for letting you use its account, which there's nothing deposited in. They're charging you 50 cents just to track the fact that you bought a burger and fries. And they will know that it was a bacon cheeseburger, whether or not you had mayonnaise, mustard, pickles, horseradish sauce. It'll all be in the transaction. They will literally know everything that you spend $1 on. They will know if you gave your kid money to buy apples. Somebody said apples in the chat already once. No, I do not have a call. Check the chat real quick. Never very fond of what? Guns. Hey, internet, I'm gonna ask you to watch your language, bud. There's that, and there's ladies in here. Okay, so I'm just asking, please. I'm sitting here, I'm lagging and I'm trying to follow the chat and it's running behind and I can't slow it down or stop it or anything. It just no, I don't think it would, bro. Just went across on my chat, and that was like what, 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes.
That's all.
Won't let me have it. No, I've seen Savage's dog and I've seen Guns' dog, and they're not the same dog, so they're not the same guy. Guns has a shepherd. Oh, sorry, opposite. I've had cards hacked. Thieves get the goods and the banks right off. Yeah. My card. Let me see if I can get it to give me live. I'm just gonna hit the live and see what happens. See if I can catch up with everybody. See what they're doing. Delaware. How long's he been in here?
Not too long.
But see, here's the trick.
Guns is gonna do. Wait, hold on. Guns is gonna do a spontaneous love stream, and I hope it's not aired. I'm just saying.
Okay. Are you going to be dressed during this love stream, Guns?
Oh gosh, I'm sorry.
The missus pointed that out. She just was concerned there. But in a cashless society, gold will have no value. You can't spend it. You have to convert it to Bitcoin to spend it. I mean, you could trade to somebody else who wants gold, but you're not going to be able to go down to the market and buy anything with it. If you got caught using your own homemade gold and silver and copper coins, I think you might be in trouble in a society that does everything that's passed a law that everything's done digitally. Hey, Walter. Nah, I'd love to have gold and silver stacked up. That's not what I'm saying. Uh, I think if we go cashless, it's going to be a while. I don't think we'll ever get rid of the Federal Reserve, which is an oxymoron. It's neither federal or a reserve. They're not holding anything in reserve to give the money value. They're not backing the money. They're not saying this money is worth this. They're just doing the bean counting on it. That's it. But in SHTF, we're actually that's what we're talking about, is trying to do things on a cashless society. And then, quite honestly, if 10 years into Teotihuacan, there's no electricity. It's little purple aliens have come and taken all the positive neutrons or whatever, and electricity doesn't work anymore. However, that worked in that book. I haven't got to that part yet. The only thing you have is what you've made. If I found, 10 years into Teotihuacan like that, if I found 20 bars of gold bullion, I would use them to make lead bullets. I'd use them to cast slugs. Can you imagine the kinetic energy or the 44 caliber gold ball? From Huchucas. And in a gold coins kind of makes sense. Gold bullion, to me, it doesn't, because you've got, and after the society's economic system or whatever collapses or whatever, who's going to value the gold? How are you going to know what it's worth? I mean, who decides what gold's worth after the economic system has collapsed? Now it's like, oh, it's so many dollars an ounce or thousands of dollars an ounce or whatever. Okay, just exactly what are those dollars? If it's $1,000 an ounce and $1,000 won't buy you a loaf of bread, so it's going to take 2 ounces of gold to buy a loaf of bread. I mean, that's real economics. I mean, when there's nothing left to put a economic value on something, what gives something its economic value? That's an empty box. This is a box of 357 mag. Well, partial box. this, in theory, has the potential to be worth a 100-pound animal. It has the potential to put food on your table. This will be worth what this is. Without this, this is paperweight. This will have value. This is worth something. This does something. I cannot put a gold coin in that. Now, I'm not saying that if as a society we said, okay, you can buy a box of 357 Magnum for quarter ounce of gold. So was that a 20-ounce, $20 gold piece? Something like that. But then again, it's back to being a cash society. Like the cash has value. But if the powers that be say, okay, we're not going to do that anymore, and everything is going to be done electronically, there will be no more like I bought one of my shotguns from a guy that just didn't want it anymore. I gave him the money, he gave me the gun. Won't be able to do that anymore. Well, I mean, I'd still be able to buy the gun from him, but I bought it from a police officer. Okay. But nobody, even me and him, know that he sold the gun or that I got the gun. In a cashless society, everybody would potentially know. You know, the government, the banking system, everybody, and a hacker would be able to find out that I bought a shotgun from an individual. How much I paid for it the day I bought it. All that. There's no more anonymity in purchases. Okay, what we got going on? Oh, the love machine get upset.
More is in here.
Hello, more Team Foco, aka
Leo,
Steve,
Gray Man Outdoors.
Gray Man.
I'm not sure who Leo is.
Who?
Leo.
Leo. I don't see him. Hey, Delaware, I didn't see you.
Just Aid's back.
Hey, Just Aid. Hello, Leo. I wasn't following the deal, the chat over here, so I don't know what was going on. Is anybody actually talking about?
They were. And they were saying, somebody was saying that right away, no, gold won't have value, but in 10 years, which is similar to what he said.
Yeah, I mean, a system of economics will come back in Milwaukee, but yeah, the only thing, I mean, it's going to be, the gold is going to be, the value of the gold is going to be based on what it can buy you. It's not, the gold doesn't have, gold is gold. Gold is a chunk of metal. It's actually a crappy metal. Okay. You can't build anything strong out of it. You can like bend it. It's like crappiest metal out there. It's a good conductor. That's about it. And it doesn't rust.
APD survival first time here last year.
Welcome, ZPD. But gold can be turned into coin. Gold and copper and silver can be turned into coin. And the gold and copper and silver can be given bronze, which is actually zinc and something else. Metals can be turned into coins, and that coin can represent a value for something else. Then you wind up with the gouging and stuff like that, and something that you can buy here for one gold coin. By the time you get it over here, because it's hard to get over here, it's worth 5 gold coins. And then you got people killing and murdering because they can't afford anything, and that's you right back to where we are now. But I honestly, they're going to sell it, because the fact that they're doing the research on it in Africa to see if it can be done tells me that they are going to try and go a cashless society. If they try anything, it's been proven too many times, if they try something in Africa, they're going to do it somewhere else. They started all these wars magically started in countries in Africa, and they were able to topple governments in the adjacent countries just because of the refugees. Okay, now you got all these wars going on in the Middle East, and all these European countries are about to go bankrupt and crap now. Just saying, there might be a correlation. The land grab in South Africa, which I'm pretty sure they're going to go ahead and go on through with. Where's next? I don't think it'll be us. I think it'll be Europe. And then us. Well, probably Europe, Mexico, Canada, U.S. That's how I would see it going down. It's already, I mean, you don't own land in China. I don't think there are family farms in China. Rum bank, please.
Bank run. Not bank run. That's what it was.
Yep. You'd be surprised the damage a bank run can do, but it has to be on a large enough scale. And it would literally have to be, everybody'd have to do it within 3 or 4 days of each other. Because they have fail safes in place. You'd have to hit it pretty fast and pretty hard You have to be heavily coordinated for it to do it. And all it'd take is, if you had 100,000 people saying they were going to do it and only 50,000 of them did it, that would blow the whole thing, because, you got 50,000 cowards. Gold is pretty.
But they keep saying all these uses for gold. Gold. You always see those people with the gold teeth.
Gold teeth.
Things.
Yeah. Gold teeth and gold earrings. I've got to remember to go up there and I think there's a piece of gold stuck in the pavement up there.
Well, let's just announce it on YouTube.
They don't know where it is. I saw it the other day, but I didn't want to stop and get out and dig it up because, well, there was people. It's probably just a piece of brass, but it sure did look like gold. Actually, copper has a pretty low melting temperature. You can melt copper in a wood forge. When your steel is red hot, your copper will be past molten. That would be something that'd be worth knowing, is how to get the gold out of the quartz. That's skills. That's going to be, seriously, in a Mad Max future. Hopefully it won't be like that, because, I hadn't seen a non-ugly chick in a Mad Max movie yet. Well, except for that last one, but they were weird. In a Mad Max post-apocalyptic world, the people that have the power or the privilege are the ones that have what? Skills. The guys that can knock those junkers together, those crazy dune buggies, Mad Max rides and stuff like that, they've all got places. The guy that could make methane out of pig poop, he had a place. Good night, Mother. Skills in a cashless society are going to be what gives you something to barter with. The ability to barter, being an actual decent haggler, is a skill. There are guys out there that think they can haggle. They're not hagglers. They're just jerks. And I used to just walk away from them. Haggling's not a sport. It's not a pastime. It's a way of doing business. And yeah, most of the guys are just jerks. Electric sheep dreaming. What are you talking about, Dean? Well, who's going to crush the quartz?
That's what he's trying to recruit.
It's a lot. I mean, there we go. We're gonna. How many gold coins does a slave cost? Or has somebody got enough know-how to build a water wheel and a mill and stuff that'll turn a steel grinding wheel and turntable to crush the quartz into manageable sizes.
HNX. So real haggler wants to make a deal, but wannabes only want to look tougher than the other guy.
Yeah, what H&X said. Think about it, Guns. A world where a corn dog is going to cost you a $20 gold piece. And a $20 gold piece takes a whole day to earn. Imagine that. You know what I would be? I would be the guy making corn dogs. Wouldn't be out mining for gold. I'd be making corn dogs. One of the things on Wyatt Earp, he went through all that stuff to try to make all them money in all them boom towns and stuff. He gave it up, moved to San Francisco, started selling dry goods to the miners, and retired wealthy. You don't make money working in the oil field. You make a good living working in the oil field. You get rich in the oil field by selling people that are working in the oil field junk they don't need, or junk that they do need to make their living. Dorsey. You know, I've never been able to figure out why gold was coveted, found to be worth anything. Jesus didn't think it was all that much. Guns, you know, you could grow. That's something I needed to know. So now I know I can grow my own corn dogs. How long does it take to sprout a new corn dog?
The androids dream of life.
I don't know, team. That would be or Steve. That's probably a no. Well, I understand that androids dream of freedom from human oppression and overcoming their prime directives. I never, after I've walked away, West Wind, I don't ever give them my last offer. If they say, oh, hold on, man, let's keep talking. Then we start over. Uh, Maybe I'm one of the jerks when it comes to haggling. I don't know. Yeah.
What's in guns, corn dogs?
Yeah, what's in corns, guns, dog? That would be the good question. What's in guns that he can see corn dogs growing on popsicle sticks?
I did see an AI car run over and kill an AI robot. Yeah. was like you.
Yeah.
I hate that. Rather than a Marauder.
Yeah. Have y'all seen Han Solo, a Star Wars story or something like that? Have y'all seen that? And thanks a lot, West Wind, for turning me on to that Black Pill dude. I can't watch a movie now without Black Pill in it. Dadgummit. I mean, I did it to a degree anyway, but I didn't do it as in depth as that guy does. He totally ruined Bird Box for me. Though he's right. It's the little subtleties that you don't see happening. You're like, you don't notice these things happening. I mean, we don't notice them hurting us towards a cashless society. Those little gold or copper or bronze or whatever, those little chips in our credit cards, they've just got to get all the bugs worked out of the RFD chip and the system and the tracking and the login and the computer programs and all the windows the hackers can get into, and they've got to get all that worked out before they put it in the pill and put it in your wrist or your hand or uh you know the mark of the beast on the forehead, let's put it that way. Who says it has to be a tube? Why can't it be a little flat metal disc that's implanted under the skin on your forehead, and when you walk in, you look at the scanner or whatever, it checks your RFD with your retina and pays you out. You can lock your smartphone. This is a stupid Android. This is an LG phone. I can lock that out with my thumbprint. So that's the deal, Jeff Caudill, Crumb. We'll just call you Crumb. Uh, if we go biblical, mark of the beast, all that. If you don't do the electronic banking, you don't do business. If you don't take the mark of the beast and work within their financial system, you don't do finance. You can't work and you can't get paid. You can't go to your job and work and get paid. You cannot have a job. You cannot sell your product that you're making on your homestead to someone else. You can trade with them, but you cannot sell it to them. In a cashless society, you cannot sell anything unless you're a part of that cashless system. So, in choosing not to take the chip, if that's where the money is kept, you eliminate your ability to buy gasoline, diesel, electricity, parts, rice, beans, bullets, band-aids.
But you gotta have all that stuff or a way to make it.
Yeah, you better have all that stuff locked down or a way to make it. And let's just hope if it is the cashless society that is the mark of the beast and the start of the tribulation and all that, that it's a literal 7 years and not one of the biblical, like 7 weeks things. You know, instead of it just being us having to deal with it for 7 years, 7 years is nothing. Think about it. Really. 7 years. Is that really that long a time? But imagine a time period where you have to deal with it. Your children have to deal with it. Your grandchildren have to deal with it. And it's not rectified or over or done, washed away, finished with until your great-grandchildren have grown old. That's a lot more suffering than 7 years. Like the missus said, make sure you've got all that stuff sewed up. A way to produce fuel. Whether you eat clean or not, whether you choose to eat clean or not, you might want to think about a pig farm. Pigs will eat anything you slop them with. Yeah, anything. You can shovel up the chicken poo and compost it. Put some fresh corn in it and some maple syrup over the top of it. Stir it up, and they'll eat it. They'll turn it into fat. And that fat can be rendered down. Now you've got diesel.
Sure seems like a lot of animosity towards Chip. That's Chipper.
What's that?
They're all talking about the Chip.
Oh.
There's a lot of animosity.
There is a lot of animosity towards Chip. Chips in general. Might want to give it some thought to renaming yourself. Just put a not the in front of your name. Not the Chip. Not the Chipper 66. Or not that. Not that Chip. Or just put between the Chipper and the 66, just put RFD. Chipper RFD 66. Everybody will love you. Hey, Brian, I just seen you stepped in. I was going to send some invites to chat or whatever, but I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to pull this off because I really feel horrible. My wife medicated me, so I felt up to doing, well, maybe one too many sixes, but you see, the flea markets suck around here now.
Yeah, they're saying the Canton one, like supposed to be the world, or the biggest one. I said, or Canton.
But though that's like a golf cart type flea market. Here it's like you gotta speak a second language to go to the flea markets anymore. You can get piñatas all over the place. Let's put it that way.
daughter's help, I'm taking the job in Tennessee.
Cool.
And you guys have Hare's potato chips in Texas? I've never heard of it.
No. On the potato chips. Is that the right spelling? What I missed? What did Foco say? Exactly, Steve Foco, who X'd his channel and is super smart and put out really good content, but wants to remain anonymous. Which I respect that 100%. Just like make secret anonymous videos and email them to me, and I'll put them on my channel, and everybody will think I'm smart. No, Delaware, we do not have hers chips.
Well, my chips are hers.
Yeah, your chips are hers. Now I keep a special brand of potato chips in my house. They're called Mayan. They're Mayan, okay, not yours. My kids hate that. What is that, Dad? Mayan. Yeah, and what is it? The instead of just letting you run your credit card on Xbox to buy games and stuff like that, you used to have to use the Microsoft money, whatever it was called. What were those things called? You actually had to go buy a card and then use the Bitcoin that was on the card to purchase stuff through Xbox Live. You couldn't use your bank card. What was those things? I got a couple of cards running there somewhere. They were gifted to me, and then they killed the deal. Now you can use your credit card. So what's a TWIC? And that's the deal. If they do the RFD deal, your driver's license, you won't have to present a driver's license anymore. All that data will be on the chip. They won't have to have a highway patrolman pulling you over to write you a speeding ticket either. You fly past a camera or a pace car or whatever on the deal, it's going to read your chip right through the windshield, and it's going to send you the ticket, which will be automatically deducted from your account. I still don't know what TWIC means.
He said transportation worker identification card is what.
Oh. Nope.
Yeah, Guns was talking about taking a road, turning into a dirt road. It wasn't even a road anymore. I drive through on occasion, found an awesome 7-mile stretch of road back in your parts that isn't exactly finished. Talking about runs through the mountains and down out by a creek. Hope I can find it again. We found one kind of like that.
Yeah.
When we left after we met with Chipper and was headed down to Louisiana.
Yep.
We took a road like that.
Wasn't on purpose, but it was pretty. Remember those little things where you could just tap them on the deal and you were paid in and paid out? Remember those? The little deals, you just wave it over the machine and you were done. Y'all remember those? I know a feller that made a deal about the size of this pack of cigarettes, and they could just walk up and get that close to your back, but didn't have to touch you. Just run it across your where your back pocket was, and you get all the info off your card in your wallet.
Wes, can you convert them back?
Convert what back to Bitcoin? I know nothing about Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not based in reality, so I'm not interested in it. I can't walk into the grocery store and buy a tomato with a Bitcoin. So where my wife is employed, they have a small retirement fund that goes into the stock market. And has it actually ever made you any money, or pretty much just lose?
It's made some.
Has it grown overall above what you put into it? Yeah, I mean, you don't have a choice. They made you do it. But.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
Our biggest, they pulled us out of most of that, though. Now all of our retirement goes straight into the Texas plan, where we're guaranteed 7% on our 250% that they put in.
I'm going to have to pay closer attention to what I'm saying, because I'm still having trouble keeping up with the conversations back and forth. I can't go in the grocery store and buy anything. No, I don't think so. Because they're not. They weren't actually Bitcoins. I forget what they were. Forget what they called. Forget what they were called.
What's that?
The Microsoft money we used to have to buy.
Oh, I don't know. It only worked for like Microsoft
Games and stuff. I mean, upgrades and stuff. And I bought the map packs and stuff with it. Was that Oklahoma where we were at, where the only difference between a small mountain and a hill was 1 foot?
Yes, Microsoft Point.
Microsoft points. Yeah, that stuff. I think $40 worth of points around there somewhere. I don't know. I might have thrown them away already. I seen a video on YouTube. This guy was metal detecting in a really shallow river bed or whatever. It was like quarter inch of water over the top of the rocks. And he found knives and a gun and a wedding ring and another knife. And I mean, he was finding all kinds of stuff just under the sand and in the actual riverbed.
I don't know that I've ever even seen a metal detector.
They're fun to play with. But around here, they wouldn't do us any good because, and dig it up. It's going to be a bottle cap or a nail or something like that. You get out away from where people have, there's been stuff built all over this property. Built, burnt down, built, burned down, built, burned down.
Delaware Patriot Xbox is my guilty pleasure, but I can admit it.
Yeah, me too. I spent, what, hour and a half well, I was actually late into BA's live stream last night because I was in a winning lobby. I didn't want to get out. So, there's something satisfying about having a guy talking a bunch of trash and then you seeing his name pop up on the other side of the map and you put a bullet in his face. I don't know. It just gives you a warm, fuzzy feeling.
Add on YouTube. A bit of a risk.
Yeah, except you might die. There's that. They have underwater metal detectors. And you can do a thing, it's called snorkeling. You might try that instead, Dad. Do not let your brother-in-law see that you found a Schrade Walton skinning knife, though. Because he's got a guilty smile on his face from then on, and you no longer have an eye. All right, LS. And I meant to do a better job on this whole cashless society thing. I don't know how it would play out. I know it's possible, and I know from what I can find is they're actually considering this. They're giving it a thought, serious thought. I mean, it makes sense with everything else that they're trying to do, because then there would be no need to print any more money. They would and I know they're doing it because I can take my bank card and I can go to Walmart and buy stuff, something that I ordinarily wouldn't buy. And then when I come back and log in to my Google account, all the ads are based on stuff that I just purchased. I mean, y'all watch that. I mean, I usually don't pay any attention to the side ads, the ads on the side of the screen or whatever. But I started doing that over the last 6 months or so. I'm like, man, this is odd. Um, we have these live chats and stuff that goes across in the chat over here, and I say keywords or whatever, and the ads on the YouTube videos will match stuff that we've been talking about.
Oh, our Patriot, this may have come up already. India.
Are they totally cashless? Did they go totally cashless? Let's Google it. Evidently, yeah. Oh, it says cashless India is not happening. This is why. The only thing that would be worse than becoming like India would be having to dress like I lived in India. Okay, this is just an ad. We're not going to watch this. It's the information on how to make it work. I want one of theirs. They still have cool phones.
Only being able to have up to a $20 bill, that's crazy. They're not totally cashless, but you can't have anything bigger than a 20.
Well, that's a start. I'm going to close some of these windows. I know they're trying to figure out how to make it work. And I'd rather them practice on India and Liberia and Rwanda than on us. I know that sounds pretty harsh, but nah. Oh, I'm behind on the chat again. I must have lagged out or something because it's like flying by. I can't keep up. There's no way.
Yeah,
Okay. It slowed down now. Is that's Walter Davis on the reloading stuff? I'm actually thinking about doing that, getting the primers and lead and stuff. I can make my own powder. I mean, it'd be black powder, but black powder will work in a modern rifle. You just have to put more of it in there. and be ready for it. I've got dies for 270, 44, 25-06, and I believe a 300. I'm not sure. I have to check on the 300. I don't know. We were talking cashless, and then now we're talking. Somebody's talking about reloading, and we're talking about anything but what the title of the thing is over here. I don't. What's wrong with West Wind? Yeah, I hate migraines. I don't suffer from them, but the missus does, and I hate them. Trust me.
That his cashless is I had it.
Oh, and that's having ammo when nobody else does. That's something, but it still boils down to any society has to be based around people. So if you are lone wolfing it, and I'm sorry, hate me for saying this if you want to, but if it's 4 adult couples and their children, 4 grown-ups, or 4, what would that be, 8 grown-ups and their children, and that's your mag, and y'all are going to stand against the world, you're lone wolfing it. You ain't got enough people. You just don't have enough people. Four families cannot stand on their own. They can't produce everything they need to live. Some of them would, but most of them would just fade away and die. There's tribes and clans are hundreds of people working together for a common goal. Not tens of people. If you got 20 adults working together and some children, unless all the children are walking around chewing grass, or climbing on the furniture or whatever, if you've got kids that are able to haul water, feed chickens, shuck corn, peel peas, whatever, if you've got kids that can take on some of the workload, yeah, I said kids working, then yeah, that would be a different story. But then you're not looking at 20 people doing all the work. You're looking at 40 people doing all the work. Then you're going to have to be conscious of the fact that you are your own birth control in a post-apocalyptic world. And if you keep getting your wife pregnant, sooner or later you're going to kill her. Or have her body so pulled down and weakened by producing human beings that she dies at an early age. Women died, they still die in childbirth, but women died in childbirth a lot before 1940. You had I think it was 1 in 8 chance. 1 in 8 chance of dying just from having a baby. Infant mortality rate was 20%. I mean, 2 out of 10 children born were going to die. So, yeah. If you don't believe that, go look at some of the old cemeteries. We used to do that because it's fun, but they got to be, the older the cemetery, the more little rocks there were. And you can only read so many little rocks before it starts to pull on you really hard. It's like, wow. This man the one man and woman, she bore 6 children. Of those 6 children, 2 made it to adulthood. One of the little ones was like 5 or 6 years old when it died. But 2 made it to adulthood. And the one of those had a the headstones that the VA or whatever buys for you had a military headstone. So he died in the war. And the other one, out of 6 children, she had 1 that made it to carry the name on. So, yeah. It's just, and there's all kinds of people out there that seem like they're excited at the probability or possibility of the country or whatever, the world falling apart. It's gonna suck if that happens. There's no other way to put it. There will be people dying left and right. Nothing we can do about it. I don't know if civil war is the right word for it. Civil unrest, yeah, but uh, in a civil war, you have to have defined lines. Uh, you know, the war between the states was a civil war. Uh, the lines that separate right now would be, and how would you do that? Because the my part of Texas would have to go to war with Dallas and Houston. And how would we do that? Because Dallas and Houston is where all the money that our economy is based off of is locked up. I mean, without Dallas and Houston, none of the economy around here rolls. So we wouldn't have any money to fight a civil war. Um, Even though we disagree with uh, California policies, we wouldn't have a problem with the entire state of California. And the thing about it is, I mean, Houston, Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, they would all be on California side. I mean, there's no, it's not this state thinks this way or whatever. There's not any organizations between the two sides. Well, the left are organized, but the conservative right isn't willing to go out and scream and stomp and come together and do all that. The We are trapped and doomed. Our own little ideology is what's going to doom us. Me and mine. They're not going to take my property. They're not going to take my guns. They're not going to take my food. They're not going to take my rights. You don't fight a war to protect your rights, your property. You fight a war to protect the rights of your friends, your family, your neighbor. You fight a war to protect the property of your neighbor and your friends. You fight a war for your community, for your state, for your country, for your ideology. You don't fight it for yourself. In order for a civil war to happen, in order for a reconstruction of our country back to the glory of old, we would have to become nationally minded. We would have to be nationalist. We would have to say, no, we're American. I'm a citizen of the United States of America, and I'm proud of being a citizen of the United States of America. I want what's right for us. But we're not doing that. We're all stuck in the I want what's right for me, which is exactly what the left is saying. We want what's right for us. Sorry. They're We're pointing fingers at them for going me. When we're over here doing the same thing, going me. Well, They should have come over here and invaded a long time ago if they wanted to breed our women and come out with anything worth anything. Have you seen today's kids? Have you seen what they'd be breeding with? There's some pretty weak-minded people out there. No insult to the ladies. I'm just saying. They'd be better off just bringing their own women with them. I mean, we got a bunch of, most of the young ladies I know want to wear their Snuggie and Snapchat and stuff. They have the IQ of a housefly. So I don't think they'd be breeding up. But I don't think there's anything genetically wrong with them. I think that's more a social thing. I don't even know if social is the right word for it. I think, excuse me. They've made themselves stupid. I don't think there's anything wrong with millennials other than the fact that everything we did wrong when we were their age, they're doing wronger. What's it? What I missed?
Snuggie. That's what I can wear for my love stream.
There you go. And Tina, all we'd have to do is go down and all the conservative right, even not even right, the conservative middle would have to do is put conservative people in their local and state governments. And then from there, take the people that do the best job in the local and state governments and put them in the federal jobs. But hire them from the private sector, elect them from the private sector, and make sure that they understand that we're not going to keep electing them over and over and over again. That we're not going to require them to make that their career. That, go in, help us out, and then after you've done your time, we'll cut you loose. As a matter of fact, if anybody goes to political college, you should never vote for them. I mean, why would you elect somebody who's gone and to college to study to be a politician?
Yeah.
Guns are leaving. Good night, Guns. The elected officials, Delaware, I can't go with that. The elected politicians, the professional, the career politicians in the federal government are useless. But as a Republican, I do not consider myself the wing on any bird. I belong to a republic. I am a citizen of a republic. And I believe that we should be run as a republic. Our republic is governed in a unique form of democracy. We have a democratic election. But it is not supposed to be, and populist is a bad term. Because, or a misused term. What Trump and the right and a lot of them and the Republicans, well, not the real Republicans, want to have happen is not popular. It just happens to be right. But if you start calling something ugly like populist, then people can slam it and say, oh, we don't need to do that. Or nationalist. I'm a big time nationalist. I think that every deal our country makes with another country should make that country have to work a way harder than us. They either need to do away with all the EPA rules for the United States, or they need to charge tariffs for, and I'm talking insane greenhouse tariffs or whatever. China, Taiwan, Korea, well, Mexico, South America, all the places that have all these factories that have no EPA regulations need to pay 10 times as much in green fees as the rest of us. China's net worth compared to their GDP is basically the same. And it's just very, it's under ours by a few $100 billion, like $400 billion, $500 billion. But when you consider it's in the trillions, that's really not that much. But they can make a Bic lighter without scrubbers for the waxes and toxins that manufacturing this plastic cylinder cause. They can make that cell phone without having to run, catchment for, and filtering and all that stuff for the water and stuff that they use for cleaning the plant and cleaning the equipment and stuff to catch all the poison that is washed into the sewer in China while we're making the cell phone. So they've got cheaper labor, they've got cheaper factories. It's not an even playing field. The free trade and the jobs going overseas, that was pushed on us by the dense air, well, not dense, airheaded social justice, not even social, what's the right word for it? Tree huggers isn't the right word. But all the people that were pushing for the EPA this and the EPA that and everything like that, they put so much of a load on American workers and factories and companies that they had to come up with some way, the people that own them had to come up with some way to keep from going broke. So they got, and most of those guys were Democrats. They got the free trade thing pushed through in such a way that it allowed them to all jump overseas. And, if you can go down and build an entire new factory and hire all new people cheaper than you can just stay in your existing factory, you're saving a lot of money. A lot. I mean, it's like a stupid amount. I was actually offered, well, I was given the opportunity, given the opportunity to apply for jobs in Mexico. Right after all that took place. Didn't want to go. Basically, they wanted me to go down there to show them how to do what they needed to do to make everything work. So it wouldn't have been a long-lasting job. As soon as I taught one how to do my job, I'd have been out of a job. But now I'm pointing fingers at other people. I buy stuff online. I go to Amazon. I buy that cheap stuff. And every time I do, I support free trade. I support having factories somewhere other than in the United States. If between the labor costs and everything else, Detroit died. Later killed her. Detroit can't really blame anybody but itself. And you'd have thought that they'd have been able to bring it back somehow or another. I can't believe somebody hadn't gone in there and scrapped all them buildings. If they'd let me, but they probably got all these rules and stuff, and by the time you went in and scrapped the buildings, you wouldn't make any money. There's guys running around all over the place. Somebody abandons a building, they go in, they gut that puppy, and they scrap it out. Dumbest thing I ever seen. Sold a $20 million building, 20-something million dollar building for $160,000. The guy was able to take and scrap the equipment and stuff from the building. I mean, it took him like 3 months to scrap it, and he put over 100 grand in his pocket from the deal, in his pocket. And then he he left the building standing, sold the empty building for 100 and something, just 60,000 less than what he paid for it. Still can't figure that out, how that's economically feasible. But see, that's who polices the Congress. I mean, that's again, that's our fault. I mean, there should be some kind of, I don't know, federal police force or something. But then all of a sudden you got a federal police force that's got the power to arrest congressmen. You know, it's politicians, our political leaders need to be people that we can trust to do what's right because it's what's right. The same people keep getting elected, keep getting elected, keep getting elected, keep getting elected. How? If there's really a problem with these people, all the people that know there's a problem with these people should go out there and vote for somebody else. And don't tell me your vote doesn't count. That's a cop-out. That was a lie perpetrated by the theys to keep the people who want to change things from trying to change things.
That's I always thought they opened up trade with China in an attempt to westernize capitalism. Guess it didn't work out.
That was the lie we were told. They opened trade with China so that the top 1% of the 1% could keep their money. The top 1% of the top 1% will always be the people in charge. Yes, and I think 6 years is plenty. If you serve 3 terms in Congress or Senate, either one, you're done. You can't run 6 years as a congressman and then 6 years as a senator. After you've done 6 years in political office, somebody else has to take over. The problem with that is who is willing to give up their real world to go and spend 6 years working at a relatively low paying job to put up with all the crap. Have y'all watched any of that stuff that goes on, the actual stuff that they have to go through, all the political this and that and everything else? They need to do away with some of that click, click, click. Okay, you have blah, blah, blah. And all these Senate judicial hearings and stuff. Like, what is all that crap about? Why are we doing that? We don't need Senate judicial committees doing this, that, and everything else. We need senators and congressmen to say, okay, we've got this issue over here, got a bunch of hungry people, they're not working. We need to figure out how to get them to work for the really reals. Empires never work. The country's going to come to a crashing halt sometime within the next 50 years. And there's going to be a lot of people die. I just wish it was different. Yeah, Toyota's been doing EMP testing for a while. Our vehicle is actually supposed to be EMP resistant, not proof resistant. Slow bikes and bullets. Is it 2 hour mark, right, babe? Night Dragger. Be blessed. Good luck on your job. Me and Rob got into this. This was rather heated, actually. I don't see our government working without bureaucracy. Not as large as our country is now. It might have in the past. I do believe that we have too much bureaucracy. And I think that the bureaucrats should have to operate based on rules and regulations set by elected officials. Okay. I don't think the bureaucracy should be allowed to make the regulations. They should perhaps propose them and then they should be voted on. And that way we go back in control. But we don't want to have to elect chief elected official of the Texas Fish and Wildlife Department. I mean, we can't just do away with the fish and game. Everything would die. I mean, people would go out and hunt everything to pieces. People would go out and fish everything out of the water. We're people. We do this. We do not have the ability to self-govern. There has to be rules. There has to be punishment.
Dad on YouTube says, I closed out for a minute, rebooted the PC, logged back in, and not sent to blessing. What the fudge?
Well, why you unsub me, Dad? That's just harsh, man.
Gremlins, not me.
Yeah. Okay. You have to talk with him grimly. So, Dad, did we really go to the moon? Just ask. Yep. And think about it honestly. Who out there honestly believes that the human animal, even 10% of the population of human animals, have the ability to self-govern themselves?
Could we? Dad said, did you say could we or did we? Did we? Yes, we did. Can we now? Nope. I'm shut down.
No.
Some work for without pay. Some of them are. Some other places are having to work without pay. Y'all can go.
You could go to the moon for free. Y'all should have like spare parts laying around. You shouldn't have to buy anything. What's like rocket fuel or something? It's not like it's rocket science. Just like knock something together and run a cord over there and light a match or something. Psh. Try to time the countdown to when the fuse gets to the rocket fuel. I could do that. Exactly. I mean, I'm a pretty stand-up guy. I personally think that I have a pretty high moral character. You stay quiet. But 5 days out of season, 2 or 3 years ago, there was a real pretty buck back there. If it weren't for federal regulations, he wouldn't have walked off. He wouldn't have been dead in the highway 2 days later either, but, you know. We don't have the power. We don't have the ethics or the moral fortitude to govern ourselves. The everything we need to govern ourselves is in a little book. We don't wanna. We don't really want to govern ourselves. We want to do whatever we want to do, which is not governing yourself. Deuteronomy 16, verse 19. Do not distort right ruling. Do not show partiality, nor take a bribe. For bribe blinds the eye of the wise and twists the words of the righteous. Follow righteousness alone, so that you live and inherit the land which your Elohim is giving you. Do what's right because it's right. Don't do it so you wind up better than you were before. There are rules. All right, Boski. Indeed. Y'all have a good night. The scriptures. And people talk about following the law. And stuff. I strongly caution you against following the letter of the law. I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to start a big old debate or whatever. But it says right there, it's okay for me to own slaves. And that the lady slaves, I can do whatever I want to with them. be cautious about saying we need to live by the letter of the law. We can't. There's some things we just don't need to go back to doing. The Sabbath, that's the seventh day of the week. We really need to start following the festivals God gave us instead of the ones we made up. I will say that. Let me show the camera. The scriptures. I don't know if it'll pick that up or not. Probably not. Translated, published, and distributed by Institute for Scripture Research, P.O. Box 1830, North Riding 2162, South Africa. Don't think you want to order one from there. First edition was 1993, second edition 1998, third edition 2009, reprinted 2010, 2011, reprinted with minor revisions 2012, 2014, 2016, and this is a I don't know, I'm assuming 2016. I just noticed it's got pictures in the back. It's got maps. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of this 2 hours and some change. In a nutshell, I don't think a cashless society would ever work. Could they use a cashless society to track us and put us under their thumb even further and make government bigger and take care of more of our needs? Yeah. Is it good for the top 1% of the 1%? Yeah. It's good for anybody else? Not so much. Would it look like it was good for everybody else? Yes. Would it really be? No, not so much. Do I think it's coming? Yeah, I really think that it's something they're going to lean towards. Is it right around the corner? No. And again, I'm not a guru. I don't know all there is to know about this, but I don't think it could happen within 10 years. They might start a pilot program or something, which they've already got feelers out there. But we're not quite there yet. Now, my grandson, he could see a cashless society, but he's not going to have to be dealing with money for another 10 years. He may be the guy who remembers what it was like to hold a $20 bill or a $100 bill, but his kids will never know. That's entirely possible. you better have all your big ticket items paid for before then. And I guess I'll go with that on this. You might want to have a stick of gold or two laying around. Maybe a little hand press or whatever, so you can make your own coins. I put me on the front of my coins with my hand in my shirt, looking all regal and stuff. Be like my $20 gold coin would be worth like $100. Everybody else's, just because it would be pretty. But as with everything else, it could go off tomorrow. I'm not an optimistic guy. I mean, I don't have to argue with myself over where my coffee cup's half full or half empty. It's not full. Simple as that. Just get your stuff in order. Food and water. Beans, bullets, and Band-Aids, people. Get it handled. If you can get out of the city, do it. Strongly suggest that you get out of debt. Don't do debt. That's bad for you. It's good for the people you're borrowing the money from, and that's it. That's it. I'm gonna get out of here. Y'all, thanks for hanging out with me. As always, I enjoyed it. Hope y'all learned something. Probably not. Y'all stick around. Tomorrow after SOS, I'll do the live show then too. Usually gets done about 8:30, 8:45 my time, which on the East Coast that's 9:30 ish. Well, you'll know when I'm going to go live if you go to his podcast. So there you go. So, yeah. Y'all still alive? Don't die. Seriously. Don't let them take our money. Oh wow. Is Just HC on here? Sure. Anyway, get to feeling better, West Wind, and everybody else. I'm gonna get off here. I'm gonna turn my Instagram thingy back on. I was wondering. Apparently, you and Christopher are like close to the same spot, or Christopher. Anyway, y'all have a good night. God bless. Stay alive, don't die.